Fantasy football is back in week 2. We were all cursing Jalen Waddle and T. Higgins names. Well, probably not all of you actually were cursing Jalen Waddle's names, but some of us were cursing Jalen Waddle's names. As always, week 2 NFL DFS, the game-by-game breakdown preview with my good friend Jacob Sanderson. Maybe a slightly more interesting slate, actually, this week. Some higher totals. We have some injuries. I mean, it's week 2, and we already have a $4,000 quarterback who may or may not be playable. Jacob, how are you here in week 2?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. I mean, just so happy to be talking about football and actual football games, not, spending 20 minutes at the start of ADP chasing, looking at team photos. We've really made it a long way. I'll say it was a tilting week 1 because, I thought there was one pretty big edge on the week 1 slate. I thought it was, hey, it's weird that the greatest player in fantasy football for like 25 years is just going to play and be fine. And he's only 7,300 on DraftKings.com. And he's apparently going to have like 12% ownership. So I played 100% Christian McCaffrey, which was clearly the right decision. And then he like scored well, but like didn't find the freaking end zone. So you didn't get much for it. And then now all of a sudden this week, he's $200 more expensive. He's going to be 30% owned.
You know what? I don't think he will. But no, honestly, Jacob, we're going to get there. I actually do not think he will, and I think there are several reasons for that. But we'll actually begin with the game that your opinion on is most important for this week, the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to play at the Jacksonville Jaguars. 48.5-point total. Worth noting that has come down between a point and a point and a half, depending on where you are looking at it. We have Jamar Chase projected for a lot of points. Not a crazy amount of ownership. Chase Brown actually projected to be the most owned player in this game. Brian Thomas Jr., T. Higgins, Joseph Burrow. My immediate lean is that this is going to be the most over-owned stuff in the pool. Burrow, Chase. T actually is no chance. Does T get to 10% ownership in this game at all? And no chance is ETN as low as 4%. People have been waiting to play Travis Etienne. They've been waiting for a sign of life. They got it. Jacob, I'm ready to say to you, my favorite player in this game, $5,200 Travis Hunter. I am prepared. I'm prepared to get there with you.
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly the guy I was going to say. Probably surprising nobody. I think this is a spot like, so right now I'm seeing that the base projection on runthesims.com, which is right in front of us here, has BTJ up at 19, and it has Hunter down at 13. I think that's something that the projections are going to lag on. I think it is going to be proven to be too wide of a gap. Hunter was, I thought, pretty demonstrably the first read in the game for most of last game. I wrote extensively about the 2 incompletions and why I'm very angry at Trevor Lawrence this week. And maybe Trevor Lawrence just freaking sucks. And so this whole offense kind of fails. But if you're picking a Jacksonville wide receiver or a Jacksonville skill player, I thought Hunter looked quite good last week. And I thought there was a lot of intent to get the ball in his hands at every single opportunity. If you're buying into this game, you kind of have to buy that Trevor Lawrence is capable of playing well. And I would be playing that through Travis Hunter, who's priced pretty far down the list. I also think we're going to get depressed ownership on him because there was the tweet about him playing more defense. I've seen no evidence or indication or anything from the coaching staff that him playing more defense means playing less offense. I think he's going to continue to play his 11 personnel wide receiver role on offense and then scale up the defense from there. So very into Hunter. On the Bengals side, my question for you is, I think the answer is no, but like Bengals every year have these horrible week 1s, right? When do they usually get their act together? I don't think it's usually week 2, is it? Isn't it usually like week 3 or week 4 they eventually get their heads out of their arse?
I mean, it has not been week 2. So last season for the Cincinnati Bengals, they were still quite bad against the Kansas City Chiefs, knowing what we know now about the Kansas City Chiefs. Then they scored 33 against the Commies, but they lost. Then finally, they really broke out against the Panthers. That was kind of the first big Joe Burrow game. That was one of the first big he had one crazy reception. I mean, I just don't think Zach Taylor's a very good coach. And I think that is what feeds in to so much of this. He just does not have his guys ready to play. And again, I'm guessing, and this is early, we're recording this Thursday morning, the base projections, the optimal rates, all that stuff's going to change a good bit. I'm going to guess that the projections for these Bengals players come down. Like, this is a very high base projection for Burrow. You could see the projection I have over here on the right is an aggregated projection. So that's like pulling in ETR, roto grinders and stuff, and it's a lot lower. It seems our early week stuff, this is actually maybe kind of interesting for nerds out there. The early week stuff that is more baseline related has been higher on passing games than elsewhere. I don't know exactly what's feeding into that, but it's sort of interesting. I just like, in terms of like, I'm probably going to play 3 or 4 single entry teams this week. Is any of them going to be a Burrow chase? Like right now, I don't think so. I just don't. It doesn't seem at that salary combination to make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, I'm probably inclined to agree with you, but it's always hard to say on a Thursday morning, depending on what happens for the rest of the week. But as of now, I'm probably inclined to agree with you. I thought Jacksonville looked off. I think I still have hope, but I don't know if it's going to be like week 2. They look like world beaters. It might take a little bit of time. And the Bengals obviously looked atrocious. It's just, when do they wake up out of their annual slumber? I think it was like two or 3 years ago. It definitely lasted a couple weeks too, because didn't they get like slaughtered by the Cowboys in week 2 after they?
So they lost the 2023. They lost and scored 3 points at home, again, or at the Browns. Then they lost to the Ravens. They had a scraper against the Rams, and then they scored 3 points at the Tennessee Titans, like one of the worst versions of the Tennessee Titans that we have seen. And it took until they did not have back-to-back 30-point games in 2023 until week 13. So like it. I mean, people do say this, and they say it a bit facetiously, but no man has been propped up more by the shield than Joseph Burrow. People are saying. All right, let's move on now to Buffalo and the New York Jets. As our good friend Chess Liam tweeted this week, the Jets are just like the Temu version of the Bills. And frankly, I'm actually going to go point Liam here, because I actually did think it was kind of interesting. You've got the quarterback who is totally heliocentric. You have one good wide receiver on the team. And then you have the running back who doesn't play all the snaps, but is so good that it doesn't particularly matter. What I am most curious about to see how the field responds this week is Garrett Wilson actually a clear single-digit owned guy, despite being, I mean, maybe one of the 10 players in the NFL who can have a 30% target share? I feel that Garrett Wilson is like quite a strong play this week. And I am probably a little bit lower on Brees, expecting him to get owned. What do you think about Josh in this matchup?
I'm the opposite of those two Jets. I'm open to both, but I'm more enthusiastic about Hall. And in fact, I mean, I know it's Thursday ownership projections, and I can't take those to the bank, but the prospect of him at 2% owned has me salivating and wanting to put him in every single one of my lineups, given that the Bills were like one of the only teams in the entire NFL last week to get killed by the run. And they did it by getting killed specifically by a zone read-based rushing attack with Lamar and Henry. And Fields and Brees are just going to be, you said they're the Temu version of the Ravens, or of the Bills. They're also kind of the Temu version of the Ravens.
Yes.
In terms of how their run game operates. So I'm pretty excited about Brees at that ownership. And then you asked me what I thought about, is it Josh Allen you asked?
Yeah, I mean, he is going to have he and Lamar are going to have the highest raw projection at quarterback, although probably a little bit overowned compared to that projection.
Yeah, I mean, probably how aggressive you want to be with Allen kind of depends on how competitive you think the Jets are going to be. Because I think that
I think they're going to be competitive. I do.
Yeah. So the circumstances we saw on Sunday night are not going to often be there for the Bills, right? And that's not really how they want to play. They prefer to just like run the ball and be kind of boring. It's not like their pass turnover expectation was that high. It's that they fell behind by 2 touchdowns for the entirety of the second half, and so they had to go into crazy mode. And you'll see 3 to 4 games like that from the Bills every year. I think it was the game against the Rams last year, and maybe the Lions as well, where they had games that they actually fell behind and they had to go 2020 Josh Allen mode, and it's awesome for fantasy. This week, it depends. How much are they going to get pushed by the Jets? I believe what I saw from the Jets was pretty real. I mean, maybe not totally sustainable, but I was very excited to see a play caller seemingly building the entire offense around Fields' strengths, mitigating all of his weaknesses. It was very different than basically any other offense Fields has been in, where they're trying to convert him into this quick game passer that he's just not and won't be. I think at least early season until there's more tape on it, the Jets are going to have pretty consistent success. So I am going to be open to playing Josh Allen. The only thing I would point out is I'm not sure I'd rather play Josh Allen at 71.
No,
at
I like Fields better
versus Fields at 57 at 3%. I think I'd rather just play Justin Fields.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Bills defense, I think, is going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be like, the purple people eaters or anything. Like, I'm not anticipating. And frankly, I think the deal we know with Fields is like the quality of defensive opponent doesn't matter anyways. It's how successful is he at running. And I believe it was Hayden who was making this point last week. Like, that you kind of make a deal with the devil when you have Fields. It's like if you try and do what the Steelers did with Fields, which is make him a point and click quarterback and minimize interceptions and mistakes as much as possible, you kind of get the worst of both worlds. You just have to be open to the Justin Fields experience. Like he had that awful decision to not scramble for the first down and get Garrett Wilson rocked last week. It kind of ended up costing them the game. And that's just the deal you make with Justin Fields, because he's going to do some stuff like that, but he also is going to keep you in those games. So I do really like Justin Fields this week. A game that, frankly, I don't think we're going to have to talk too much about. The Los Angeles footballing Rams are traveling to play in Nashville at the Tennessee Titans. Titans are 5.5-point home dogs. Let me just submit this to you. Any game that Puka Nacua plays, he's just the wide receiver one in fantasy football. No player should be projected, even Justin Jefferson, even Jamar Chase, for a larger share of their team's offense. Are you buying or selling?
I think I'm buying. I mean, he probably, if we're doing like rest of season rankings, I mean, I'd probably put him 2. I think I'd still have Chase ahead of him, but Chase is like a different animal. Like from a base median projection, I think Puka outscores him more of the weeks. It's just that we're going to have probably 2 weeks where Chase has like 47 PPR points. And who knows when those are going to come. But yeah, like who's the highest median projecting wide receiver? It should always probably be Puka Nacua. Just the Rams had 66% of their targets go to Nacua and Adams, and Puka missed like 30% of the snaps. And it was Adams' first game with a new team. Like, I don't know why no other team can seemingly do what Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are able to do, but the degree to which they're able to concentrate all of their volume on their best players is just incredible for fantasy football, and it's pretty one of a kind. So this game environment sucks ass, and I do think the only piece of it, well, I guess maybe there's 2 pieces I would consider playing would be Puka, and then if you want cheap, $3,200, runs over 80% of the routes, pride of Canada, would have had a better stat line if his dumbass coach knew what a catch was.
Oh, so bad. Yeah. That was really annoying. Yeah, I didn't even let you say his name. Alec Iomanor. We're still exactly trying to figure out. I mean, I do think Calvin Ridley at 4,900. It's just like that is a guy who is gonna projections based drafters or projections based DFS players are going to have a lot of Calvin Ridley. I also think that Pollard and Kyron are in that range of guys who are playable. Now, if they're actually coming in, like if Pollard's actually 14%, which is what the first run of projected ownership on Run the Sims is, that is like way too high. Not really interested there. And I mean, how about our boy Kyron Williams? Last week, we're doing the shipcast. They get down to the 3-yard line. He gets stuffed on the first one, and you're like, see? And then they just immediately, you know what? Kyron is
there's no like see, like he had like 14 points.
That's what he does. So I was doing.
That is what he does. I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. Like I just like nothing about
sometimes he scores twice
last week. Like and sometimes he scores 0 times, and on average he scores 1 time.
On average,
I don't know. There was nothing about the Kyron Williams performance last week that made me remotely upset that I don't have more of him on my teams. Like he doesn't get used in the passing game. He's never broken off a long run in his life, and his entire fantasy existence depends on will he get 90% of the carries and will he get a touchdown every week? And most of the time, the answer to that is going to be yes. But that like just gets him to the level where he's a fine pick for me. I don't know how he like surpasses that.
Okay. This is actually like a larger contextual thing, but Kyron's sort of 15 to 18 point tight band range becomes more valuable if players are scoring less fantasy points on average, which was the case last week. No player scored more than 25 half PPR points in the main slate. obviously we saw the Sunday night game between Baltimore and Buffalo go crazy. And it's not to say that is the way that fantasy football will always be. And what just happened is the thing that is always going to happen. But 15 points becomes a lot more valuable when 15 points is the running back 6 on the slate, not the running back 12 on the slate. And his salary is totally affordable. Weirdly, so we passed right over the Steelers Jets game last week. We said, terrible. Don't play anyone here. I actually think there are 2 playable players in the Seattle Seahawks at Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers 3-point home favorites game. I'm wondering if you think there's anyone playable here.
Well, if the Jets were one of the only teams, again, like the Ravens, that had success running the ball last week. So if you have not a lot of faith in Pittsburgh's defense to seemingly make the adjustment that every other defense did to stop down the running game, that has a little bit of interest to me. Who the heck would you play that through? I'm not so sure. The Seattle Seahawks were basically a 50-50 split in touches. Charbonnet played more snaps because he plays more pass pro stuff. Probably both guys fall beyond my consideration, but I would maybe put Charbonnet at least in my player pool, and I might even boost up his projection a little bit just to see what happens. And then JSN was like one of the big stories of week 1. I'll say that like on a season long and dynasty perspective, I actually wrote sort of, I think he's a really courageous sell high because I thought the environment around
see,
him
I was
kind
of thinking a buy high, like of like this is realization. This is the realization of the talent. Like we saw inklings of it last week, but now it's like, oh, Jason actually is a good enough player to like be the engine of like a competent NFL offense.
Yeah, and my issue is more they weren't a competent NFL offense last week, despite that. So like he was great. JSN was awesome and is awesome. Anyway, for DFS purposes, I think it's different. He's only at 6K. It's not like we've seen him climb as high in value as he has in like the dynasty world. So I think you can play him, and then you can probably play Metcalf if you want, but I don't think that I will.
So I was going to shout Metcalf out because if there's one thing I know about Aaron Rodgers, he's one of the pettiest men alive. Aaron Rodgers will absolutely want to get DK Metcalf a touchdown here. Like
that's smart. That's smart.
I don't do the narrative stuff all that often. I need some real hardcore evidence. And I mean, Rodgers like loves to check into the throws at the goal line anyway. I mean, he did it like 3 times last week. Like the Jonnu Smith touchdown being a pop pass instead of a handoff is the most Aaron Rodgers coded thing of all time. So I think that's like a little JSN Metcalf correlation, and you do that, you work that in with your your Mac Jones stack or whatever. I think is pretty nice. And to me, I actually don't think Charbonnet is playable. My takeaway from the Sharbs Kenneth Walker thing was not, oh, Charbonnet is like this awesome fantasy asset. You actually made this point on the Shipcast, which is Charbonnet just happened to be in at that goal line possession. Like that just happened to be his drive. Now the overall usage in that game was very bearish for Ken Walker, and I don't think we should feel that good. But it's not like Ken Walker's going to 0. It's like this is like a Montgomery Gibbs situation, but they're both kind of Montgomery efficiency. Is where we're at.
That's probably fair. The one thing I'll shout out is that Seattle's expected to be more of an outside zone based team. Charbonnet got over 70% of the team's outside zone looks. Walker was used more in inside zone and gap stuff. So it's potential that they see Charbonnet as the better fit for the outside zone carries. Mike McDonald did say this week they expect to have more outside zone carries called this week. Maybe that means more Charbonnet carries called this week.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, the New York Giants are traveling to play at the Dallas Football Cowboys. I mean, it's not sounding like it's going to be Dart this week. I'm not ruling it out though. I'm definitely not ruling out Dart very, very soon. I think that we are kind of in an all-time spot here with CD and with George Pickens, where the markets, Dak didn't throw a touchdown last week. Javonte scored twice. Pickens has a bad box score because he This is an annoying thing about George Pickens. He could have very easily scored a touchdown on the play where he got the DPI, but he let the defender hold on to his arm and he tried to one-hand it because he's George Pickens and he likes to do stuff like that. It's very annoying. Like, you could have just caught that ball and scored. I think Dak, CeeDee, Dak, Pickens. I probably wouldn't double stack this week because I just don't think the Giants are going to be able to push them at all. And how about this for a stat? The only player that matched Christian McCaffrey in expected fantasy points last week, Malik Neighbors. He just the target volume he got, where he got it, how deep down the field. And I'm expecting Malik Neighbors any week that Russ starts is probably going to be single digit owned.
Yeah, I think Neighbors is a totally reasonable start. Although I don't know, whatever Dallas was working on Thursday night to blanket both AJB and Smith. I'm interested to see if my guy Matt Eberflus has come up with some sort of innovative defensive strategy over the course of the year, or if Jalen Hurts just sucks.
Well, AJ Brown. Say which one. AJ Brown had a hamstring injury. Our good friends Scott Barrett and Ryan Heath have been big on this on X, the Everything Out, for the last week, that he had a 0% route win rate, which is like the lowest they have for him in their database. Now, do I trust that metric in totality? I do not, because there's still some subjectivity there. But I actually do think it is simple as he just wasn't 100% healthy in that game.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. Tough to find other plays, man. I think Lamb is, I guess, a fine play where he's just not going to be owned, and he's a potential wide receiver 1 overall candidate, and I bet he comes in vastly under-owned. But the Giants just stink, and they're boring, so it's not going to make a conducive game environment. I will not be participating in the Javonte Williams week. It's not happening for me.
Yeah, do you want to participate in Javonte Williams' discourse? Because he will be owned this week. I guarantee.
Yeah, he will definitely be owned, and I think that's like a horrendous play. Like, it's not that he can't get there; he obviously can get there. But like, there are so many of these running backs that are going to have like between 12 and 18 carries and between 1 and 4 targets. And like, really all that matters is like, do they find the end zone? And like, some of them are going to project slightly better. I understand that because they have slightly higher snap rates or whatever other inputs. But like, there's like 15 of these running backs.
Well, Javonte is
one of them is Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, like, Javonte is getting 1,000,000,000% of the rushing touchdowns for the Cowboys, basically in any projection system.
But they just might not have a rushing touchdown, like,
or it might be Dak, or they might. It's just like because the efficiency is not going to be there. He had one good run on Thursday night. He had a good run up the gut. He broke a tackle. He drug the pile. It was a good run. I'm not trying to take anything away from him.
Yep.
But it's not the Javonte Williams did not become UNC Javonte Williams overnight. Like he's like Alfred Morris. He's Brian Hill. He just is like just a totally replacement level.
He's a ham and egger.
The ham and egger. He's a ham and egger. Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, Kyron's better than Javonte Williams, but it's the same theory of what I was saying about Kyron, where it's like, if Javonte Williams gets 1 touchdown, that's nice. His managers kind of get there, but I'm not dead by any stretch either. He's going to have like 15 points. If he gets 2 touchdowns, then congratulations. He's probably going to be in the winning combination of lineups. I'll bet against him getting 2 touchdowns again. I'd bet against basically any running back outside of like maybe CMCs from like, or Derrick Henry's from getting 2 touchdowns. If that's what they need to probably beat me. He didn't even get 20 points with 2 touchdowns on Thursday night. So I'm good on 20% on Javonte Williams.
Yeah. I also am not really interested at all. All right, here's going to be the first take that I divorce from the market. I think we have the Chicago Bears traveling to play in the Dome against the Detroit Football Lions. They have a relatively paltry team total because they are 6-point dogs here. This will probably be the game that I am most divorced from the market. I really like Jahmyr Gibbs. I think our base projection at 22 is a little bit high. I think the aggregated projection at 19 is a little bit better, but I think this is an awesome spot to buy on Caleb. I think this is an awesome spot to buy on Goff. I actually think DeAndre Swift is playable. Will I play him? Probably not. And I think I'm prepared to flag plant Amon-Ra St. Brown. Whatever the Bears had going on defense against Justin Jefferson and JJ McCarthy last week, my hat is off to them. But Man, Amon-Ra St. Brown at $7,000 against a team he has torched like a billion times in his career. Last week was the lowest target share in any game of his career, excluding the games that where he didn't play as a rookie, like the first like 8 games or whatever. I think we're looking at like this game could fly over the total is my opinion.
Yeah, I think this could be a fun one. The Bears, it was a mixed bag, man. I mean, they look better than last year's Bears, that's for sure. Kayla looked really fast. I love that. Still missed a lot of throws, still a lot of weird pocket plays.
Just weirdness with Caleb.
So like I feel like with the Bears, like it can be kind of not sure. You know, everybody was trying to immediately anoint them after drive 1. Then obviously things kind of went off the rails, but I wouldn't say it's hopeless by any stretch. Gibbs, unsurprisingly, my favorite play in this game. He was one of my favorite plays last week. He got basically the usage I was hoping for. He did start. He did get over 60% of the snaps. Even with that game script, he only had that. I think it was Gretsch who had this note in stealing signals. He only had over 60% snap rate with David Montgomery healthy twice. This was the 3rd time that he's been able to accomplish that. Seems like there's a little bit of a switch towards him within the hierarchy. And it makes me want to get back on Gibbs and just hope that he has better efficiency this week, because I think he had 12 carries, 10 targets last week. That's pretty much exactly what you would sign up for any single time you play Jahmyr Gibbs. With the Bear stuff, I am interested in playing Caleb. I'm not 100% sure I would stack him with it. Maybe, I guess you just pick one of Moore or Rome, but watching like the all 22 QB school stuff, like it is alarming, man, how many times the first read on a play is Olamide Zaccheaus. Even on plays where he didn't get the ball, the first read on the play seemed to be Olamide Zaccheaus. And I don't really take that as like an Olamide Zaccheaus thing, because I just don't think he's going to play in that role the entire season. I can't believe that that's going to be true. I take it as almost like bullish for Burden, that there's kind of like a role waiting for him. And I take it as bullish for, or I guess just bearish for Adunze and Moore, that despite this massive amount of talent they have, you know, they're drawing up so many plays for freaking Olamide Zaccheaus. So it's hard for me to pick a bear. I think it's going to continue to be pretty spread out rather than consolidated. And on the Lions side, I don't know, man. Like, I guess Amon-Ra is probably the way I would want to go. What is the status of Jameson Williams' world after week 1? Are we playing him? Have we waved the white flag? Where are we at on JMO?
I mean, I think the JMO truthers, of which I am one, would just say, you know, hand up, there's going to be some struggles as Jared Goff adjusts to life without his binky. I mean, everyone's seen that stat going around that he's 0-19-1 in games that are not called by Sean McVay or Ben Johnson. It's actually not quite. If you dig into it, it's actually not quite as bad. It's like 0-17. Because Anthony Lynn called some of those, and I mean, dude, Jeff Fisher was this dude's coach. Like, also the Packers defense might just be like phenomenal. We'll actually get some more data on that this evening as they play against the Commanders. Like if they make Jaden Daniels struggle and Cliff doesn't look like he has a clue, like that is definitely some data that we're gonna gain on the situation. Also, it's outdoors. Like we know, like Jared, we said this last week. Jared Goff is literally one of the biggest home road splits, indoor, outdoor. He has baby hands. People always think I'm making this stuff up. It's very, very real. He has like the smallest hands of any. I believe he has the smallest measured combine hands of any quarterback to have won a playoff game. I think is the official Jared Goff stat. And Caleb, we actually saw this on Monday night. The way Caleb plays invites chaos into these games because he's going to take some bad sacks. He's probably going to have a couple bad turnovers against high quality defenses, but he also kind of has that Mahomesian, like, okay, well, it's 3rd and 11 and I just converted it. And there's just not really anything you can do about it that lends itself to a higher pace game, higher scoring game. If I had to pick a bear, it would obviously be DJ Moore. Like,
shocking.
He's the best wide receiver they have right now. I thought the run DJ Moore up the gut on like 2nd and 6 was a really interesting decision. But you know what it does to me? What it says is they hate DeAndre Swift as much as we thought they did, and they also don't fully trust Monangai in that role yet.
They don't trust him at all. They gave him 0 carries. And Monangai, the QB school all 22 world was I would say not kind to the pass protection of Mr. Monangai. So
he's a 7th-round pick from
something
Rutgers.
Something to watch out for. I don't know. Like, I guess I just don't understand what they've been doing with their backfield all summer. There were so many running backs. Why didn't they trade a 5th and 6th-round pick for Tank Bigsby? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, Tank Bigsby probably would be their best in between the tackles runner right now. Their best
immediately.
Immediately. Sadly, their best in between the tackles runner right now is DJ Moore. Swift had multiple runs where I was like, dude, you could actually be a great running back if you were not so afraid of being tackled. Like you could be phenomenal if you weren't so afraid of just getting squared up.
He had 2 really nice ones in a row in the 3rd quarter, and then outside of that, it was not much for DeAndre.
Yep. All right. A game that you do have to make some decisions on due to the salaries of the players, the San Francisco 49ers traveling to play at the New Orleans Saints. I'll just say right now, I don't believe this ownership projection at all. I think there are many men out there, Jacob, who have weakness and cowardice in their hearts and will not click on Christian McCaffrey for a variety of reasons. The first being, we're doing this Thursday morning. There will be one report about Christian McCaffrey's calf between now and Sunday that will shake some people. And Mac Jones is starting this game at quarterback. The 49ers are only 3-point favorites against this Saints team. I'll begin with this. I think Mac Jones is probably the best quarterback play on the board at 4,000 against the Saints in the dome.
Man, we do finally get to see what would have happened in 2021 if Kyle Shanahan got his way.
He's been waiting for it.
So he's excited. It's not a great spot for Jones. I mean, Ayuk is out, obviously. George Kittle is going to be out for as many games as Mac Jones plays. So he's got to be playing with rusty Jawan Jennings, who has never taken a rep with Mac Jones in his life because he wasn't around for
did
camp.
Not practice on Wednesday as well.
Right. So he actually might not even play. It sounded like they think he was going to be okay, but who knows exactly. And then Pearsall, and if it's just Pearsall, I mean, like it's literally Pearsall and like Russell Gage and MVS. Like it gets really bad really fast. Jake Tongs. So I'm probably not going to be as into the Mac Jones thing. Like I still think we get a lot of interesting pricing in week 2. We got a lot of chances where pricing could be off. I want to try and investigate those. I want to take bigger swings. I want to try and hit that big ceiling. I doubt I play a Mac Jones lineup this week. I will play several Christian McCaffrey lineups. I'll be monitoring his projected ownership closely, is what I would say. I think I am more inclined to think he's going to be 25 to 30% owned, in which case I'd still play him, but I obviously wouldn't have 100%. If he gets under 20, I would literally do 100% Christian McCaffrey again. We'll see. Maybe people are scared by Mac Jones. I don't think so. I think they saw what they needed to see last week. They're going to view him like a nice cozy blanket.
He is a nice cozy blanket. I mean, I would honestly be tempted to run back. The running back position is fine this week, not overwhelming. I think Kamara is playable. I'm not interested in the Tongus stuff because there are better tight ends. I will say this. A lot would have to happen between now and Sunday for me to not play at least one Mac Jones single entry /3 max lineup. And McCaffrey, I think, is the best skill position player of the slate. Okay, man. We've been saving it. We're excited. Quack, quack. The Cleveland Browns traveling to play at Baltimore. Team total, we don't care. 49 dropbacks for Joseph Flacco last week. Just incredible things happening for our boy Harold Fannin Jr. I don't care what the projection is. I don't care if he's projected for 10 points. This ownership is too low. These projected points are too low. Now, David Njoku is like an all-time leverage play. Perhaps the definition of a leverage play, as he will not be owned. No one will play him. He ran more routes last week than Harold Fannin Jr., but Harold Fannin Jr. just like going to be overwhelmingly popular this weekend. The question I would like to prompt to you is, are we buying Zay Flowers as like a 50% target share guy with the third straight season Mark Andrews has been declared dead?
I mean, 50% target share, obviously not. Very obvious number one in this offense, for sure.
Yeah.
I think Zay Flowers has been underrated for most of his career because he's played with Lamar in a way that kind of hurts pass volume. It also kind of hurts, well, not kind of, it really hurts your like targets per route run because a lot of his routes, Lamar, is scrambling. And so that means that there's less targets for the entire team on a per route basis. So in this per route age, I think those types of players get punished, and Zay Flowers is one of them into consciousness. I always thought it was weird. He's a third-year wide receiver, and people are like, Zay Flowers, so boring. And it's like, I don't know, understand why we decided like he's the one young receiver. He just has no upside. He has no ability to get better. Like, think about the way people talk about like JSN, and I don't necessarily think Zay Flowers is better than JSN, but like,
or how people talk about JMO.
For sure. But like JSN and Flowers were in the same class. They're like 2 picks apart. And with JSN, it's like, and fairly, it looks like people were correct. But like, it was like, he's going to get so much better. He's going to get so much better. He's going to get so much better. And with Flowers, like, he came on the scene. He was immediately good. People were like, yeah, man, what a fucking 28-year-old ass player Zay Flowers is. It's like, why can't he get any better? It's just weird how he's discussed. Anyway, I think he is a legit guy. Am I jacked about 16% owned Zay Flowers at 6,200? Probably not. We'll see where that ownership goes throughout the rest of the week. Would I be buying him in like Dynasty? Would I be trying to move him up my seasonal ranks? Definitely I would. So yeah, I think he's firmly in play. I think all the Ravens are, the 3 main Ravens are in play. Andrews, man, don't know what's up with that. 64% of routes, even with Isaiah Likely out.
Well, that was always going to happen. They were never going to, like, Charlie Collar was always
last year when Isaiah Likely missed, I think he missed 1 or 2 games. Andrews was like at 90% routes. So I don't think that was always going to happen. I think that was unexpected and concerning. So I don't know. Mark Andrews, I wish that this freaking Likely injury never happened, because I don't think I had drafted Mark Andrews a single time until Likely got hurt. And then after Likely got hurt, I was like, now I'm a little nervous. Like maybe I should actually take a little bit of Mark Andrews. And it looks like it's going to be a big mistake by me, because he looks pretty dust. As for the important questions, Harold Fannin, every lineup, he's going to be a top 5 rest of season tight end. He played 72% of the snaps. He played 30% of the snaps as the one tight end in early down formations. That means they were actually willing to trust him as a real boy tight end. That means I think the ceiling on his potential role is way higher, because
way higher.
My initial thought, just kind of casually watching the game, was like, sort of the fin and bet, if you will. To me, always was a mix of he's going to play some fullback snaps, some H-back snaps, and some slot wide receiver snaps. And then maybe on like 3rd and 10, when everybody knows we're passing, he can potentially get some percentage of those as the lone tight end over Njoku. And that kind of role would lead to like a 60% route rate-ish. And so then casually watching the game, I just kind of assumed that they maximized that role way faster than I ever would have anticipated, but that was still the role.
Right.
Going into the data afterwards, realizing, he already played 50% of the 11 personnel snaps in 3rd and 4th downs. He still played 30% of those snaps on 1st and 2nd downs. Means like this isn't as segmented in terms of the roles. He actually does have a path where they could increase his workload at the expense of David Njoku. So he has room to gain on multiple fronts over the course of the season, and maybe as early as week number 2. So I'm very into Harold Fannin. This is, again, a spot where like projections are taking the long view. I get it. I would not project David Njoku to outscore Harold Fannin. I would project Harold Fannin to outscore David Njoku. He's the one getting the design schemed low ADOT stuff that David Njoku needed to feed off of. So I think until projections adjust, or until I'm proven incorrect, I will be jamming the shit out of Harold Fannin in every lineup.
Couldn't agree more. Probably what I will do Sunday morning is this is the classic slate optimizer. What I will do is I will just go open it up and just go in a different, I'll just manually increase his projection. All right. The New England Patriots at
I'll
the
just hit that nice little lock button. That's
lock
all I'm
button. Do. Just that's all you got to do.
I don't need to change any projections. I'm just going to hit that little lock, and then I'll let everything fill itself in around it.
Yes. All right. The Miami Football Dolphins traveling to play against the New England Patriots. 2 questions. First, is Drake May as good of a play this week as Daniel Jones was last week? I think probably yes. And 2,
Yeah.
are we just done with the Dolphins, or is A-Chain such a good, unique, force of nature for running back fantasy points that you're ready to run it back?
Look, Gretsch had, I thought, the best take on the Miami Dolphins post week 1 that I've seen. It was better than my own as well because I got caught up. I was obviously I watched every play of the game, Colts fan, and my initial reaction was like a classic kind of fan reaction, which is like we beat the shit out of these guys, like the Dolphins suck, haha,
Yeah.
Tua. And then Gretsch had a lot of good point, which was the Colts completely controlled the pace of the play the whole game. The 7th of Miami's only 7 drives was Zach Wilson, so they had 6 with Tua. They cleared the 50-yard line on 4 of the 6. It just so happened that 3 of those drives ended in Tua turnovers, which are like bad descriptively, obviously, of how they played, but are not necessarily that predictive. And then because they had fallen behind so much, the 5th drive is a turnover on downs well into the Colts side of the field, and the 6th drive is the one that they score on. So it's not like their offense was completely incompetent. It's not like they were going 3-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt, 3-and-out punt. It was more that they had a couple of turnovers, which were, again, descriptively, they played very badly in this game. Predictively, not sure how much that matters that Tua threw a couple of interceptions. And then because of the way that the Colts played and how effective they were, because we're going to the Super Bowl this year, they then were unable to sort of have enough chances to recover, and they ended up getting abused by that variant. So I'm going to buy in on a Miami bounce back this week, and I'm going to play a lot of this game, even though both offenses were not very effective in week 1. I think that New England showed themselves to be a bit of a pass funnel, especially for as long as Christian Gonzalez is out. And then Miami's defense just sucks generally. And I think both these offenses have more upside than they showed week 1. This is probably the game I'm most excited to game stack.
Honestly, shout out to Ben Gretsch, because I don't think I would have gotten there myself. Now, one of the differences I would have from last week to this week is Tyreek Hill. Like, you can see the base projection that we have on Run the Sims is super low, and that'll change. And then the aggregate projection is 17. That feels like crazy high to me on Tyreek Hill.
Did you enjoy within like 4 minutes of the game, he's on the sideline having a complete meltdown, yelling at everyone?
No, me personally, I did not enjoy that because I very much put my money where my mouth was last week and played the shit out of Tyreek Hill in DFS and drafted him in all these underdog BRs just to watch him, do what he did. A-Chain, I think, is so good that even if this Miami Dolphins season is in fact what the haters think it is, that he actually is just,
he'll get there anyway.
Yeah, I think he'll literally get there anyway. If this ownership stuff on Hunter Henry and Drake May holds, that will be my generation's Daniel Jones, Michael Pittman Jr.
Sure.
Because I do think the Dolphins defense is that bad. At least their secondary. At least their secondary is actually as bad as the haters said.
Yeah. Definitely big agree. And I was in on the Jones stuff last week. Unfortunately, I did have one Jones Pittman lineup. It was in whatever my smallest dollar thing was. I forgot what it was called, but whatever the $88 entry contest was on DraftKings. I did a Daniel Jones. I was so excited, and then I was like, "Oh, who did I stack him with?" It was Josh Downs. I stacked him with Josh Downs. So that's how you min cash. Yeah, I'll be playing. Say the line, Bart. I'll be playing Jalen Waddle this week.
Oh, come on, dude.
And I'll be playing H-Chan, of course, and basically every New England Patriot.
Oh, I am okay. Don't do as he says. Don't do as he says. Don't do as he does. Don't. Tyreek, you could sell me on. I can't. I mean, dude, it's like Jalen Waddle immediately got folded in that game too, and went off to. It's just
back.
Brutal. Came back. He did come back. All right, your team.
Waddle and Olave both doing the immediate medical tent / return to game was like, oh yeah, we are back.
They understand a good bit. They understand a good bit. Daniel Jones. Is Daniel Jones the new Peyton Manning? Is Bo Nix the new Josh Rosen? No Broncos player other than Sutton is going to be playable for weeks.
Nope.
Tyler Warren, unbelievably good play. It's actually perfect symmetry. Tyler Warren his first game, 30% first read target share. Josh Downs, everyone's favorite slot-only wide receiver, 30% first read target share last year. Just like literally like a 1-to-1 swap for Tyler Warren. I do think Tyler Warren probably gets under-owned. And then Jonathan Taylor, 6,700 is very tough defense. He played every snap in the first half last week. It was kind of unreal.
Yeah, it was crazy. He played all of the snaps and then none. He never subbed back into the game. He played 52 consecutive snaps, followed by saying, "Peace, boys. I'm out of here. We've done enough." And then he went straight to the bench, and then Tyler Goodson played the rest of the way. It was one of the weirdest running back sequences I've ever seen. Yeah, you can definitely play Taylor this week. I think he's going to be probably a pretty manageable ownership. People are afraid of the Denver defense. They're not that imposing of a run defense. They're a better pass defense. And in fact, I think they're like, it's similar to Cleveland a couple of years ago when Cleveland was the most dominant defense in the league. And it was like, they were a fine run defense, but their pass defense was so scary. Teams would run the ball at a high rate against them. And so you actually could exploit that matchup through the ground. And that's kind of how I feel about Denver as well. So I like Taylor this week. I don't know if I have the stomach to play Jones against the Denver Broncos, but it is at home on the fast track. So maybe I think he's in play. He's not going to be owned because of Denver. And if you believe in what they showed last week, you can go for it. My favorite way to stack him would definitely be Tyler Warren. I don't need to play Michael Pittman against Pat Surtain. And I'm not giving up on Josh Downs at all, but for the whole season. And in fact, I wouldn't project him lower than Troy Franklin. But I'm not necessarily going to be playing him this week. I'd like to see proof of concept that his routes can come back up. And yeah, that would be it from the Colts perspective. From the Broncos, like there's no one I'm that pumped to play about. I guess you could flop lag Bo Nix. Not sure that's going to be the way I want to spend my Sunday, is rooting for Bo Nix to beat my own team. If
not the way I want to spend my Sunday.
If it wasn't my team, I guess I'll say Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, Jonathan Taylor is a pretty viable way to play it. But yeah, excited for my first ever chance to sweat the Colts live on YouTube. So looking forward to it at the Shipcast on Sunday.
Yeah, that will be an experience that I think all of us
Jersey will be on.
Yeah, Jersey will be on. All right, the Carolina Panthers at the Arizona Cardinals, 44 total. Arizona, huge home favorite. Bryce looked like absolute shit. Kyler honestly did not look very good. Marvin Harrison Jr. scored a horizontal breaking touchdown. Like absolute breaking news there. I think this is actually a decent flop leg spot for Tet. He had the 26% target share. He looked pretty good. Should be some volume there. And back-to-back weeks, James Conner is going to end up being my most drafted player, I think. Just like literally set him up, knock him down. I know Benson had the nice run last week, but it's still very much Conner than Benson.
Yeah, I love Conner this week. I don't know how much the casuals like even affect DFS ownership anymore, but I will say people's perception is that Benson cut into Conner's workload because Benson played way more than he did last year. That's not actually the case. Benson cut into Amari DiMercado's workload. It was Benson playing all the third downs this week one, which was never the case last year. He then still got a couple of extra series, which is kind of what he did already get towards late last season anyways. Conner's individual snap rate was perfectly in line with his 2024 snap rates. I'm not worried about James Conner. I'm playing James Conner this week quite a bit. I'll also, if you could get up to Trey McBride, I would. If you're playing like the Matt Jones stuff, that would be a great excuse to come in and play Trey McBride, I think, because his role looks fantastic. And then McMillan, I agree with everything you said. He had a totally dominant role. Do you want to know how many? Can you recall the targets to yard ratio of Xavier Legette and Hunter Renfrow combined last week?
I know Legette did like by hook or by crook get like 7 targets and had like -1 yard or something.
It was the combined. They had 13 targets for 21 yards.
Oh, that is so dark. I mean, that's not all on them. Some of that's on Bryce, but it's not great.
Did you see the Legette where he like caught the ball like with like 10 feet before the sideline and somehow didn't get a second foot down?
You know what? Somehow I do believe it. Somehow I do believe it.
He stinks.
All right. Last game of the slate should be a good game. Theoretically, it's not going to be a good game in practicum at all. The Super Bowl rematch, Philadelphia Eagles traveling to play Kansas City. there's really no playable. This game is going to suck. Hurts, I guess, is playable. Barkley is going to be like super, super stymied. Hollywood Brown did see 16 targets last week. You know what? I'd buy just like the concept of AJ Brown being 6,600 and being like 3% owned. That I would buy a little bit. I don't even do something wrong with our projection. Where's Hollywood? Something is so we have a display error. Hollywood's literally not even showing up right now. He's a play. Yeah, this game sucks. This game is just not going to be enjoyable to watch for anybody.
It's literally a Super Bowl rematch. 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls, and you're like, this game is gonna stink.
Well, it's gonna be. Both teams are just gonna play it super close to the vest.
I know, you're right.
It's just gonna be like,
part is you're correct. That's the crazy part. Is you're actually correct. Like, this game is gonna stink. It's just so funny that these are like arguably 2 of the best teams in the NFL, but they're going to play unwatchable football.
The Chiefs would argue with you about that. I don't think they're feeling. I don't think they're feeling like one of the best teams in football.
That's fair. Yeah. Are there any plays in this game? I guess
if Mahomes scrambles, at the rate that he did, then sure, he's playable. But
yeah. I mean, I don't even want to play Barkley because he's just so dependent on rushing efficiency. The Chiefs are not going to give that up to anybody. So I don't think you can. I'm not like worried about Barkley, but I wouldn't play him this week. And then like historically, they don't give any production to outside wide receivers either. So I don't really think AJB or Smith flop lag is like that enticing to me. Goddard's probably not even going to play. So I don't know. Is Grant Calcaterra on the team, or is Kylan Granson, I think maybe is the guy? I don't know.
Calcaterra is still on the team, but I've done this song and dance with Calcaterra before, and I've learned my lesson.
Yeah. Probably
really Hollywood, I mean, is playable. Like, he's a 16 target wide receiver who cost 5,200 DraftKings dollars. He did just take the worthy stuff. I will say, I guess I'll say the line bar. This is my say the line bar. $5,000 Travis Kelce with no other wide receiver. He could have 11 of the worst receptions you've ever seen. That's all I got though. It's not great. All right, man. Let's build ourselves a team over on DraftKings, and I will let you have the first pick.
All right. I will select. I know you don't do quarterback first, but I feel so strongly about my favorite quarterback this week that I will select Mr. Drake May.
Wow. I love it. I love it. And I don't think we have to stack him at all. And one of the reasons I don't think that is I'm going to take Quack Quack Harold Fannin Jr. at tight end. If we do stack him, there are options obviously to stack him with. But yeah, Harold Fannin Jr. is who I'm taking. I wasn't going to let you take that one for me.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's do Devon Achane as one of our running backs here. I'll save you. I was tempted to do Jalen Waddle, but I'll save you the displeasure of doing that on your own lineup.
All right, I'm going to take my my flag plant salary cap DFS play this week. I'm going to take $7,000 Amon-Ra St. Brown home to the Chicago Bears.
All right, I'll take I'll do my gold star flag whatever play. Maybe.
Oh yeah, Drew said we can't say flag plant. We have to say gold star.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Did they say that again this week?
No, I'm just teasing.
Oh, this was from last year. I remember them getting upset. Shout out Drew and Mike. We wouldn't dare steal your copyright.
Drew's flag plant last week, by the way. Travis Etienne, smash.
Oh my god, very good job. You got unlucky that it wasn't better. Actually, they didn't get a touchdown.
Truly.
Okay, I will do ownership pending. Because we're looking at Thursday ownership. Run the Sims had him at 2%. That's insane. He looked like the best running back in football. Breece Hall.
I mean 2% might not be exactly right, but he's not going to get owned. I can be fairly certain of that. So I think we have enough room to play with here. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey. I think we've got enough to play with here. Let's just sub in the. What do we want to do? Let's just do. I don't know, Seahawks defense, and we have 5,700 left per slot for 2 wide receivers. That's plenty of room to work with.
That's plenty. All right. I will take Mr. Travis Hunter.
Wow, that is beautiful. This lineup is cooking. We have 6,200. That's actually a pretty good range. So we could do JSN. Perfect. Or you could do Metcalf there, but I'm gonna go JSN with our defense. If this lineup wins $1 million US, I'll give one of you guys $10,000. All you got to do is comment down below. Make sure that you are subscribed to Thinking About Thinking. A link to that is in the description of this. If you're listening to it on audio, it's on the podcast feed as well. Drake May, Devin A-Chain, Breece Hall, My Flag Plant, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Travis Hunter Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, Harold Van, and Christian McCaffrey. Seahawks flag planting or gold starring Breece Hall for you, Jacob.
Gold starring Breece Hall. Looks like the best running back in football, going against a really bad run defense. Let's do it. And specifically a run defense that is historically horrible at containing running backs in the receiving game. I'm pumped about Breece Hall.
All right, there you go. Comment down below for a shot at $10,000. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for daily fantasy football videos, and we will see you guys all back next week.